SMC-N benefit, $6,152.64 monthly, veteran alone. Professor Buliu is here to test what actually belongs in that N column. That claim packet can still hide one payment question. When can an extra K award sit on top, and when can it not?
That is the current basic veteran alone N rate, $6,152.64 each month.
We are going deeper than the broad SMC chart today. N isn't a bonus equal to that amount stacked onto a 100% check. It's the basic SMC rate that replaces ordinary percentage compensation when the N criteria are met.
And the dependent row matters. I don't trust my memory on the spouse row. I think it is $6,372.23, but check me while the official table comes up.
There it is, $6,372.23 for a spouse with no parents or children. The Live VA table proves both dollar rows. It doesn't prove eligibility. N doesn't mean very disabled in a general sense. The base letter turns on exact combinations, specified bilateral limb loss or loss of use, physical loss of both eyes, or blindness without light perception in both eyes.
This isn't for you if the evidence shows only a high combined rating without the paired loss. Audit the actual functional findings and every separately rated disability, because an independent permanent rating may change the tier after N is established.
Read the award as medical facts, not one impressive percentage. Ask which limbs and what anatomical location. Ask whether useful function is gone and whether a prosthesis can be worn. For vision, ask what each eye perceives and whether a second hearing or limb disability exists. Put those facts beside the calculator.
The first question is no longer how high is my combined rating. It becomes, which determination did the VA actually make? If the decision never addresses the paired loss or blindness path, the calculator can't rescue the missing evidence.
Do not let the dollar figure outrun the rule. $6,152.64 is real money, but it belongs only after the required service-connected loss is established under the N criteria.
You can compare the live table and your own award letter with the free guides at va.professorerica.com. Keep both open because the next step is matching the medical language to
Wait, which medical fact actually moves someone into N?
The exact criterion. Start with the paired limb paths. They're narrower than most summaries sound, and the loss location matters as much as the number of limbs. Coming up, the vision word that changes the tier and what an independent rating actually buys. Quick honest ask while we are here. If this has been worth your time so far, hit like, then subscribe and ring the bell. I know everyone asks, but this one is free and it is how a small channel like this actually grows. If you watched the last episode, the 5-door SMC-N breakdown, don't carry those doors forward. N starts with paired loss at a specified location.
Start with the anatomical level. The rule separates a hand from an elbow and a foot from a hip-level amputation. It also separates ordinary limitation from loss of use. Close isn't enough. The paired findings have to fit a named root.
Both arms at the elbows is the cleanest arm root. Anatomical loss of both arms so close to the shoulder that a prosthesis can't be worn, or loss of use of both arms at the elbow level. Those are distinct medical facts, but both point to N. Now look at the powered arm on screen.
The clip shows a prosthetic arm, not entitlement, not the shoulder, not the hand. The elbow location matters because useful motion above and below that joint changes which statutory description fits.
That is the threshold.
Both legs can also reach N when the amputations are so close to the hip that prostheses can't be worn. The evidence needs the actual level and prosthetic feasibility, not a sentence that merely says bilateral leg disability.
The mixed paths are just as exact. One arm and one leg amputated so close to the shoulder and hip that neither can take a prosthesis is one. One hand amputated with the other arm lost that high is the second. Swap one detail and the letter can change.
No adjective can replace that 4-branch map.
Think of it as a 2-lock safe. The first lock is the qualifying loss on one side. The second lock is the paired loss and anatomical level named by the rule. Turning only one lock can support compensation, but it doesn't open the N rate.
Unlike a safe, medical evidence can show partial function. My own word check is this: N isn't too high ratings. It's a matched pair of service-connected functional losses, and the regulation cares about where useful function stops. Emma, is that the model?
Yes, with one correction. Some N routes require anatomical loss, while loss of use works only where the rule expressly allows it. That's why the operative report, prosthetic assessment, and functional examination need to agree instead of being summarized into one vague label. Now move to the lower limb example.
Watch the therapist guide bilateral prosthetic range of motion. The action makes the function question visible, but it doesn't establish SMC entitlement.
The claim still needs the actual amputation site and whether a prosthetic appliance can be worn.
Take Dana, a hypothetical 58-year-old Army mechanic with service-connected loss of use of both arms at the elbows. The claim doesn't turn on Dana's combined percentage. It turns on whether the medical record shows no effective elbow-level function beyond what the applicable rule recognizes.
Change Dana's record so only one arm meets that finding and the other has painful but effective motion. The second lock stays closed. That changed case doesn't establish N through the bilateral arm route, even if the combined percentage still looks enormous. Open the binder and split that record now.
That changed case closes the model. One qualifying arm plus one arm with effective motion does not establish the bilateral N finding. As the record split on screen, hold the word independent. A second disability can raise an N award only if it's distinct from the disabilities already opening this safe. We'll cash that out in dollars shortly.
Yeah, sit with that one.
Then the next hard question is unavoidable. What if the path is vision loss instead of limbs?
Professor Beaulieu is back with us on the point that blindness reaches N only at a specific 2-eye endpoint.
If the path is vision loss, N asks whether both eyes are anatomically gone or whether neither eye can perceive light. It doesn't ask whether the impairment feels total in daily life.
Both eyes anatomically lost is the first base N eye path. That finding is direct, but the decision still has to connect the required loss to service-connected disability.
No light perception in both eyes is the second base path. Run the two questions on this card in order.
Only light perception is not the same phrase as no light perception.
That distinction carries money. Blindness in both eyes with only light perception is listed at M. N says blindness without light perception in both eyes. One word marks the next statutory tier.
And 5/200 acuity sits lower still in the L rule. So a chart saying legally blind, profound vision loss, or even bilateral blindness doesn't tell us the SMC letter by itself.
The measurement language is the payload. Record corrected acuity and visual field. Then distinguish only light perception from no light perception or anatomical loss. Each phrase answers its own regulatory question. Now watch the guide dog team handle the stairs.
The handler and guide dog clear the stair flight together. That makes orientation and mobility visible. It does not reveal which eye endpoint the examiner recorded.
Visible navigation still cannot tell us which eye endpoint the examiner recorded.
That is the evidence boundary. The clip can show practice mobility and confidence. Only the examination can establish the eye finding used for this rate.
Braille reading shows daily function, not the SMC letter. Pull the eye examination and rating document side by side.
Would deafness automatically turn vision loss into N?
No. Vision loss combined with specified deafness, loss of a hand, or loss of a foot can trigger an intermediate or next higher rate rule. The starting I tier and the combined disability determine the step, and the result can't climb above O under those provisions.
So the honest shorthand is base N eye path here, combination math over there. Mixing them can make a correct dollar amount sound like the wrong eligibility test.
Circle the exact description for each eye, then identify any separately service-connected hearing or limb loss instead of assuming it was already counted.
That is the audit. Before we get to the packet audit, put dollars on the two-step rules, because a 50% edition and 100% edition don't buy the same jump. An extra 50 can move N to N 1/2. An extra 100 buys the full jump, so I printed the award letter and current rate table.
Pause right here and grab your rating decision. I'll wait. Split the disabilities used to establish N from every other permanent service-connected disability. Watch the file search. That physical split is the job.
One evidence group establishes N. An independent group must support the step-up. An independent permanent disability, or eligible combination, ratable at 50% or more, moves N1 intermediate step to N1/2.
N1/2 pays $6,514 monthly this year. That's $361.36 above the veteran alone N rate. The table also previews the distinct schedular 100% move to O.
That isn't 50% of the N check.
Right, it's the next intermediate SMC rate. To borrow Emma's phrase, the two-lock safe opens only when that independent disability is distinct from the conditions that already established N.
A distinct permanent disability independently ratable at a schedular 100% moves N, a full statutory step, to
Hold on, straight from N to O?
O. Straight from N to O under that full step rule. The exact number is $6,877.12 for this year's veteran alone O/P rate, $724.48 above N.
I am flipping to the decision page. It says individual unemployability, not a schedular 100% rating. Emma, finish that distinction.
TDIU doesn't satisfy the independent 100% step. The regulation expressly requires the qualifying disability to be independently ratable at 100% apart from individual unemployability.
And distinct means distinct. The qualifying rating must involve other anatomical segments or bodily systems from what established N. The same arm, eye, or underlying loss can't simply be counted twice.
Before we go on, can the same disability be used once to establish N and again to trigger the higher step?
No, the second step needs an eligible disability not used for N.
Distinct. So the audit isn't just total ratings. It's a map showing which condition opened N, which other condition might open the next step, and whether that second condition is permanent and separately ratable at the required percentage. Now run the monthly difference.
Count it beside the calculator, $724.48 every month. That difference survives review only when the distinct 100% rule does. Send this to the veteran who thinks an extra 50 and 100 buy the same step. The monthly gap is $724.48.
Field.
Step 1. Make the claim packet show the exact qualifying path and keep every proposed condition in its own lane.
Start with a one-sentence theory. I am seeking special monthly compensation at the N rate because the service-connected evidence shows this named bilateral loss of use, or 2I endpoint. That sentence disciplines the rest of the packet.
Use the current form. Put it beside the decision and review it line by line.
The form review on screen is generic, but the addition date is not. As of January 2026, VA Form 21-526EZ is the current application for disability compensation and related compensation benefits. Special monthly compensation is a related compensation benefit.
Before anyone submits, run this 5-part packet check. It starts by matching records to the required functional criterion.
Match the record.
For an arm path, that may mean a functional examination describing elbow-level loss of use. For a high leg amputation, it may mean the operative level and why a prosthesis can't be worn. For the eye path, it means the exact finding for each eye.
A diagnosis list isn't the same as a functional finding. The packet should let the reviewer move from the regulations phrase to a dated medical observation without guessing.
Then build a second page for the stacking audit. Name the condition and body system, record permanence, and the schedular rating. Finally, mark whether it was already used to
Do not recycle one condition into two steps.
establish N. Exactly. If the same pathology supplied the N criterion, it generally can't return wearing a new label as the independent 50 or 100. The regulation looks for other anatomical segments or bodily systems.
Before the representative reviews the packet, watch what the clinician is actually documenting. Then ask the sharper question.
The clinician on screen is reviewing medical records that illustrates documentation, not proof of an SMC tier. Ask an accredited representative to identify the precise N basis, flag the missing medical sentence, and test every proposed step-up disability for double counting. The useful review is not, does this look severe? It is, can each element be pointed to on paper?
Return to the form page. It names special monthly compensation and carries the current January revision at the bottom. A saved copy from an old claim folder can be the wrong addition even when the number looks familiar.
My card catalog gets one label per drawer. Your evidence map gets one job per disability. Here's the ruling, and here's what I'd actually do. Don't file this as a high rating argument. File only when the map names the N root and every step-up basis.
And one final stacking question remains. What can K add to N without being swallowed by the conditions that created N?
Professor Beaulieu is back with us after separating N from the step-up rules. The last score is whether K rests on an unused loss.
K is the exception that behaves like an add-on, but only when its eligible loss exists in addition to every loss used for the N rate.
Additional is the controlling word. Imagine N is established by loss of use of both arms at the elbows. Those same two arms are already inside the basic rate. A distinct K award still needs an unused loss.
VA may add as many as 3K awards, but each needs an unused factual basis. Now watch what rehabilitation footage can and cannot establish. The therapist guides both prosthetic legs through range of motion work. We can observe function. We cannot infer the anatomical level of loss or which condition VA used to establish N.
So this isn't N plus K because the N evidence sounds extreme. It's N plus K because another K rule loss exists outside the N pair.
That is the K answer promised up top.
But that answer reopens the larger audit. Was the claimed K loss actually unused, or did the N award already consume it?
VA may pay eligible K awards up to the permitted limit. The maximum isn't a target. Each award still needs a K rule loss and can't duplicate the N basis.
3 add-ons sounds like my gym membership finding 3 fees for 1 treadmill.
A little too real.
Okay, with 3 exits past the regulation, back to 1 K rule loss per unused factual basis.
Emma, draw the boundary before the exceptions multiply.
Start at N, test any truly unused K loss, then test the distinct 50 or 100% step rules.
K isn't added to O, Q, or R. If another provision lifts the basic rate to O, the K add-on
Wait, the K can exist, but the payment can't ride on O?
stops. Correct. The eligible loss may still matter. The rate table excludes adding K to O, Q, or R. Open the decision letter now and find the line naming the supposed K loss.
As the paperwork is marked on screen, ask what additional means. Is this a K rule loss not used for N, or merely an extra diagnosis listed in the decision?
No, my fridge checklist gives 1 job to each box. Additional means a K rule loss not already used to build N.
Not merely an extra diagnosis. So different isn't enough.
Correct. A second label is not enough. The loss must qualify under the K rule and remain unused in the N basis. That sharper wording belongs in the audit.
Right. The stacking ceiling applies once, so mark every condition once.
So write the result as a sentence. N is established by this evidence. K is supported by this unused loss. Any intermediate or full step relies on this eligible permanent disability.
That sentence lets a reviewer see the stack without doing archaeology across 10 diagnoses.
And if one condition appears twice, stop. Fix the theory before adding one more form, one more statement, or one more hopeful dollar figure. Bureaucracy doesn't need a remix.
Professor Beaulieu, thank you. Give us one sentence to carry out.
Build every SMC step from an independently verified fact. If one condition does two jobs, the theory is wrong.
Walk away with this. One disability gets one job in the map. If that cleared the SMC fog, subscribe and join us for the next letter. Which fact in your decision establishes the base rate, and which one is truly additional? Keep the decision close, and I'll see you at the next table.